when someone whispers your name? Was it real, or is it just your imagination?
Hard to believe how many people are experiencing these paranormal activities with a high percentage of being afraid to say anything. What will people think of me? They think I'm crazy, I'm nuts. But when they have that outlet, or meet up with us, or have somebody who will allow them to just say what they want, I'm amazed how many people have experienced something.
If you ask around, it seems as if everyone has a ghost story to tell. And it's almost hard not to, with all the places that claim to have paranormal activity going on. But one place in particular, in Kenosha, Wisconsin, has an eerie tale to tell.
Kemper Center in Kenosha is a really interesting place. It used to be a school for girls.
I think it was a girls' school and a convent. Apparently, one night there was this girl, she was going to become a nun, and she fell in love with a man. You know, they can't do that. They can't be in a relationship like that. So she was torn between her beliefs and this guy.
She was very despondent over that, and it didn't take long before she went out and threw herself down into the rocky shore and was drowned.
The next day, a couple kids found her floating in Lake Michigan.
And she's supposed to haunt the place.
It's not just the Kemper Center that claims to have hauntings, but everywhere you look, from graveyards to abandoned buildings, have their own scary legends. But how can you tell if a place is really haunted or not?
People wonder how to tell whether a place is haunted or not. Most of the time, if a place is really haunted, you're going to know.
Signs of a place being haunted, they seem to be growing.
It's been recorded that most spirit activity takes place between midnight and 6 a.m., the witching hour. They'll hear things moving around and crashing. They'll maybe hear people talking. There's been some cases where, like in hotels and stuff, people will actually hear like a party going on in a ballroom that, you know, there's nothing going on there.
You wouldn't expect to come home and find all of your cupboards opened up. You left, they weren't open. You come home, why are they opened up? No one did it, no one was there.
Maybe people hear footsteps, or they'll feel a cold spot.
You wouldn't expect to be sitting in your couch and just sitting there 70 degrees and all of a sudden drop down to 50. You can tell that kind of drop. You wouldn't expect it. That's not normal. The door didn't open, the windows ain't open. What happened?
When a spirit, you know, tries to manifest itself, it draws energy from, you know, any place that it can. If that's the air, they do that. That's why you feel the cold spot, because it's pulling all the energy from there.
Orbs have a tendency to drain energy. The reason for it is that is their food. That they need the energy in order to manifest, or as well as to travel.
Spirits draw energy from us. They take energy from batteries. That's why we have so many battery problems.
I had 2 cameras, and one camera would not work at all. It malfunctioned. As soon as I got home, it worked.
Many times the researcher will find their cameras will actually go dead. The batteries go dead in their cameras.
We've got pictures, you can actually see it's like a light coming out of our equipment. It's actually, the energy is actually being drawn out of the equipment, which would explain the dead batteries all the time.
We have had situations where we have been out to a cemetery and the car dies because of the fact that these spirits, orbs, are draining the car battery.
We're driving through the cemetery and our car just died. You know, everything was completely dead. And we're like, you know, what the hell is that? And then all of a sudden the car just started back up and we got out of there pretty fast, let me tell you.
A lot of times people who investigate hauntings, especially when they've taken photos or films of the haunting, will get back these manifestations called orbs that look like balls of light.
We have documented many orbs here in the Burlington area.
What an orb can represent is a spirit.
The spirit of a person that has crossed over.
It can be, usually it's just a circle, sometimes it can be diamond shaped.
They manifest into a circle because that is the easiest form of energy to manifest for them.
We are energy. It's one thing Einstein said is we are energy, we are never-ending energy. Energy never ends. If I clap my hands together, that sound is going to continue for eternity. We don't hear it anymore, but it's there.
They will gain that energy and they will be able to make themselves into view, an apparition or an orb flying by that someone can physically see. If it is an orb, it usually will be solid, white.
They can be anything from white to a pale orange glowing color.
The only time we've ever gotten a colored one is in Manteno, Illinois, and it has been red with a streak of light with it.
If you read a lot of Native American lore and what their medicine men and spiritual leaders believe, they will tell you that human spirits look like small balls or spheres of light. And I've always thought that was kind of interesting that these things that you do sometimes see do correspond very much with what these things look like that Native Americans say the human spirit or soul appears as.
Another mysterious connection between Indians and paranormal activity comes from ancient burial mounds. Some investigators believe the reason why they bury their dead on these locations was because they believed those locations were gateways to the other side. And maybe it is just coincidence, but it seems wherever burial mounds are, paranormal activity isn't too far away.
Wherever you find mounds, you will find paranormal activity.
Almost every city around here was built over burial mounds.
Many of you may remember the movie Poltergeist, where a new housing development was built on an old graveyard. They never moved the bodies. And in the case of Burlington, Wisconsin, this town was built on 27 ancient burial mounds. This is one of the reasons our town is so haunted. We have in Burlington the most haunted cemetery in the world. Something is out there. Some people report that it's a little girl, and other people have talked about red eyes chasing them out of the cemetery at night.
One night went to the cemetery, and as we were driving through, our car started acting really weird. And so we got out to see what was wrong, and I got this weird feeling that I was being watched. And so as I turned around, I could see these red eyes from behind a bush. You could tell there was something there, and I just got really scared and really freaked out, and we got out of there right away.
Paranormal activity does not just revolve around ghosts and hauntings, though. There are vortexes as well, which researchers claim to be gateways into other worlds.
Here in Burlington, Wisconsin, we have what is called a rainbow vortex. This is very rare.
It's one of those areas they call a window area, which is supposed to have a lot of openings, some people call them vortexes, between this dimension and other dimensions. It's a place where creatures or spirits or things can kind of transport from one to the other. Some of them involve time as well as other spaces.
Eagle Lake has been known and is known for a space-time distortion. We have photographed people that will be standing, and there will be other photos of themselves showing that they're in a time-space distortion.
When you take pictures, you can see like the time distortion. Like my one friend went up on this gate. You could see her, but you could also see like her face 2 or 3 different times. It was really creepy. So we started taking some more pictures, and my friend took a picture of me, and it was really weird because in the background you could almost see something behind me, and as like you look at it closer or you zoom in or whatever, you can almost see a face of a woman. It's really creepy. So we were getting really freaked out about like whatever, all the pictures that were coming back and what we were seeing, so we decided we just wanted to get out of there. So we got back into the car, and when my friend turned the car on, the CD that we had in started skipping, and the car kind of started shaking, and the check engine light came on and it was blinking, and she's never had any problems before with her car. It's a new car, and so we were really freaked out. And the weird thing is, the next day it was fine. It like fixed itself.
You've seen werewolves in movies, but did you ever think they existed in real life? One of the most fascinating legends, first encountered in 1936, comes from the small town in southeastern Wisconsin.
Probably Elkhorn's best-known legend would be the Beast of Bray Road, which is a legend of this tall, furry creature that is seen usually in the dusk or nighttime hours. It's described as between 5 and 7 feet tall, very ferocious looking, stares at people until they get really scared. And some people think it's paranormal. Others think that it might be some kind of natural animal, perhaps a hybrid or a leftover from the Ice Age.
So late one night I was driving down this road in Elkhorn, headed to a friend's house. Out of the corner of my eye in the ditch I thought I saw something. I thought maybe it would be a deer or something, so I slowed down. And as it ran out, I saw that it wasn't a deer. It was more like a wolf, but it was definitely a lot bigger. And it was walking on its hind legs, upright. And I was terrified. I didn't know what to do, so I just stopped the car, and it stopped right in front of me in my headlights. And I didn't, looked at me. So I honked my horn at it, and it ran off. I don't go down that road anymore.
Elkhorn is not the only place that has this. We have very similar sightings reported in Michigan. They call it the Dog Man in Michigan. Some people have said plain flat out that they believe it's demonic. One man, one of the earliest sightings was in 1936. He saw it digging in an Indian mound in Jefferson County. His words were, "It's a demon straight from hell." I've had some Ho-Chunk people tell me that it's a supernatural creature, and that when it appears to be disappearing into the cornfield of Ramble, it's really just going back into its other world, that it lives sort of in this world and another world, and transposes between the two. And you have to think, well, if there are other dimensions, there could be other beings or creatures in them. This may not be the only habitable dimension, which I think is an interesting theory, and it does actually fit very well with all the recorded facts.
From werewolves and vortexes to ghosts and hauntings, you never know what may be lurking around the corner waiting for you. So the next time you are home alone and you hear a strange noise, maybe it's your imagination, or maybe it's not.